The last thing I ever imagined 12 months or so back was that I would be standing at this podium talking about Russian assertiveness, Russian aggression. The last part of the world that I ever thought Australians would be particularly focused on is the fields of the eastern Ukraine. But we are great travellers, and because we are great travellers, we were amongst the principal victims of the MH17 atrocity. And it is our clear understanding, obviously there's an investigation that goes on, but on the evidence so far, clearly this was shot down by Russian-backed rebels, most likely using Russian-supplied equipment. So I think there is a heavy responsibility on Russia to come clean and atone. It is part of a regrettable pattern, whether it's the bullying of Ukraine, whether it's the increasing Russian military aircraft flying into the airspace of Japan, European countries, whether it's the naval task group, which is now in the South Pacific. Russia is being much more assertive now than it has been for a very long time. Interestingly, Russia's economy is declining, even as Russia's assertiveness is increasing. And one of the points that I tried to make to President Putin is that Russia would be so much more attractive if it was aspiring to be a superpower for peace and freedom and prosperity. It was trying to be a superpower for ideas and for values, instead of trying to recreate the lost glories of tsarism or the old Soviet Union.
First of all, Russian action in Ukraine is unacceptable. We have to be clear about what we're dealing with here. It is a large state bullying a smaller state in Europe, and we've seen the consequences of that in the past, and we should learn the lessons of history and make sure we don't let it happen again. I don't believe there's a military solution to this, but I think the sanctions are important. I think the sanctions have had some effect. You can see that in what's happened to the ruble, what's happened to the Russian stock market, the difficulty Russian banks have in gaining finance. And I think we should use those sanctions in response to Russian action. So I would still hope that the Russians will see sense and recognize that they should allow Ukraine to develop as an independent and free country, free to make its choices. But if they don't take that approach, then the relationship that Britain has with Russia, that the European Union has with Russia, the relationship I hope that Australia has with Russia will be very different. They will be putting themselves into a very awkward position in their relations with the rest of the world. And we should simply respond to the events as we see them. If Russia takes a positive approach towards Ukraine's freedom and responsibility, we could see those sanctions removed. If Russia continues to make matters worse, we could see those sanctions increase. It's as simple as that.